I can develop any algorithms that I want to try out. And he also I mean, introduced me to a lot of colleagues and collaborators that he worked with, and then introduced me to them and introduced them to me, so that I can sort of, I think it's a quick way for me to get familiar with those senior people, or get to know those senior people in the field. Um, and I think it also give me opportunities to lead the project or be a co-PM the projects, to mentoring like intern students and other like postdoc students. So to me, like I really appreciate it. I think I'm just really lucky to met with. I think he's definitely like a mentor of mine, and then to show me and lead me in the early stage of my career. So I think I think it's definitely important to have a mentor that would give you some advices and also want to give you opportunities to do things, and then support you unconditionally. Um, so so yeah, to me, I really appreciate it, and I think without him, probably I will, not maybe encounter a lot of challenges or not be that smooth to transition from like from like academia or school to like work in my career.
My biggest mentor, I guess, the one who spent the most, or was my mentor for the longest, was my PhD mentor. But to be completely honest, didn't have a great relationship with him. So I don't know. I have like a love-hate relation or like idea about mentors in general. And like in grad school, I would listen to a lot of these panels, and they'd be like, find mentors from other places. And I was like, where do I find some random person who's like 10 years older than me and wants to talk to me about it? Just like didn't really understand how to do it. And so I found a lot of support and advice from people who were just a year older than me, or who were at the same level as me, or peers. So I'd say like work on teams a lot and work on multidisciplinary teams. If you have opportunities like in your PhD to like do a project that's not just you, do that. Or in your work, I guess. Not everybody's gonna get a PhD, but yeah, teams are really good, and they're a really great way to meet those random people who would be mentors, even if they're not directly working for you or like assigned as your PI or something.
Makes sense. So I was thinking about, like, I think all of my mentors have been men, so I'm not sure like how it so I think part of the is underrepresented communities, but I think one place where I wish I had a mentor but did not is, I think, making that transition from like being a stay-at-home mom to like entering the workforce after 10 years. That was really difficult, and I would have appreciated like somebody who had done it before or who could give me advice, and I didn't have that, and I feel like it would have helped. I know I think it was Carol who was giving her talk, and she explained that like she did have that person. Yeah, understand how that would have been helpful to have that perspective. And I know today we also have a lot of either high school students or college students who are kind of transitioning from academia to industry, as it's kind of nerve-wracking going from one type of learning environment to a working environment. So I wanted to know if Amanda, you had any perspective on the similarities and differences from academia and industry within the data science field.
Honestly, the Atom Project, it feels pretty academia-y. But I don't know. Actually, here, does anybody else have an answer? Because I wrote this down and I want to look up what it is.
Yeah, I do have an answer for like one of the differences. So like my husband is an engineer, and he has this thing like the bring me a rock exercise, where there's an open-ended, not well-defined at all problem.
and your manager just wants you to do something and bring it back. And I feel like I do a lot of bring me a rock. Where like in school, it's more concrete and what you're supposed to do is neatly outlined. Where I feel like in my job, that's not, it's,
Yep.
you have, well, I mean, the positive side of that is you have a lot of room to be creative and take initiative, but usually your assignment is not so nicely spelled.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the big transition is sort of what you were saying. Like, you don't necessarily have somebody grading you anymore, and you have to hold yourself accountable and also be confident that you know what you're talking about, which is like obviously easier said than done. But like in my current position outside of the Atom work, my boss, like literally no one else has any data science experience. So if I tell them something's good, then it's gonna be good enough because nobody's gonna tell me no. So that's a little scary. But also rewarding because like you just have to put yourself out there and try it. And if it doesn't work, then you go back and try something else. But yeah, so you just have to like be prepared to not get graded or like feedback. Like you might not always get feedback. What do you guys can think?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what I can add is definitely suggest if you have opportunity to like intern at industries, that would be great for you to get familiar with industries or different types of industries, because there will be you know, you might get some really like engineering works, or there are places where you use some more like research based stuff. So those are two types of different stuff. And I've interned in both like more engineering side and then like research side. And for me, I mean, that makes me feel like I don't really like to engineering stuff. So I mean, so that's a really great opportunity for me to really know like what I want to do, what I prefer, like which type of industry or which type of job I like to do, or which type of work I like to do. So I think once you know like what is gonna work, like how it's gonna work, or how it looks like working in a company or working in a lab, then I guess you'd be less afraid if you already know what's gonna happen.
So I've been at the lab for a year and a half almost, and so I'm like really early in my career, which is why I prepared these questions for you guys. So I want to know, how can I, or any early career professional, kickstart their career and make the most out of their first internship or first job? You want me to start?
Okay. I would probably just say networking, like get to know the people around you and ask them what they do and learn. You can learn from the people around you.
I hear that. I would say get like a weekly one-on-one meeting with your boss or your like bigger boss. Those are going to be really valuable people for writing recommendation letters and launching you into the next phase of your career. And the more face time you get with them, the more they can help you and the more they know you. Can often be like pretty diluted in the chain of command, but just ask for meetings and you usually get them.
Yeah, I think yeah, networking is definitely something really important, especially it's great if you are able to talk with different people, like people working in different areas, where people work in like positions, so that you could get an aspect of what, you know, what different career path looks like in events. And I'll also say you know, try to get out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid of trying different things, because it's your early career. I think that's the stage where, you know, you're not afraid of making mistakes. People will understand that. So yeah, just try different things and then talk to people, know what your career would look like, or if you like this type of career path or not. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy because I'm so afraid of making mistakes all the time. And I think thinking back to Carol's talk, she was talking about how when she was in school, she was the only female in her university or like in her job as well. But now we see more women all across the board, which is really amazing. However, at times you do see that you might be the only female in the room, or you might be the only female in a meeting, or even on your team. So this can lead to things like imposter syndrome or self-doubt. How do you motivate yourself to get through these mental obstacles?
Yeah, for me, I'll say just think less. Be positive, don't think too much how people look at you, like how you gonna fit, in the room, whatever. Like we're all human beings, so we're the same. And yeah, I was just think less and focus on, like, because eventually, like, you will be in a room, maybe discuss a project or something. Just maybe focus more on the project itself instead of listing.
I think, well, I went to a lot of therapy, so talk therapy is good for everybody, and I recommend it highly. But besides that, I think earning some confidence it's like okay to be scared, and it's okay to like try stuff and not know what you're doing as long as you like keep trying. But it's good to focus on like, a concrete goal and then like achieve that goal and then be like, cool, I did that thing. And now you can feel a little more confident and just take baby steps. I also had to teach myself to say like, I did that thing, and then there's always a but. I didn't do these 8 other things. So like every time I heard I'll say, but blah, 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 I would just try and like stop criticizing myself. And that helped a lot, just feeling a lot more confident and accomplished, I guess, instead of always like, I didn't do enough yet.
I would just agree with everything that's already been said. Stay externally focused, control how other people perceive you, so don't try. And also, I mean, it's just normal to feel when you're trying something that's new or challenging or growing. So maybe like a small amount of, there's a healthy imposter syndrome to have. Long as it doesn't be overwhelming.
Another question I had is, how have the opportunities for women in data science changed over the years? And that can include like different technologies we use, or like how teams are organized, culture, and stuff like that. What do you think the future holds?
Like young in my career, I don't know if I know the answer, how it's changed really. I mean, I think it's only growing, and like with automation happening, it's sort of a double-edged sword of people losing jobs to robots for whatever, or like ChatGPT or writing articles, stuff like that. But also like people in this room are the exact kind of people that are going to be highly valued. And as long as we can make sure that there's a lot of different perspectives, so women and all sorts of diversity, like in the room when we're writing the algorithms that are taking away people's jobs, then hopefully. I don't know. I think honestly, that's what I see in the future. It's sort of a double-edged sword thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And
like in the future of how the industry would shape.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. Like with ChatGPT and those generative AI stuff, some people will get replaced, of course. So I think that back to the first question, I guess, is try to find out what's your strength and amplify it. So think about what makes you different from other people, like those fundamental knowledges you have. Those are hard to be replaced. Or you're expert, or especially, expertise in certain areas, and those is hard to be replaced. So I would say just try to find something that is specifically, you're specifically good at than other people, that makes you hard to be replaced. That's how to overcome
The competition is increasing. That's good to hear. And I've heard a lot of buzzwords being thrown around, like ChatGPT, AI. So we are experiencing this new era of technology directly aligned with data science. How do you think, I guess, technology is going to improve or look like in the next few years? And what should people early in their careers or even at school try to focus on?
I think that it's a field with fast-paced change. So I guess like it offers the opportunity where you always have the opportunity to learn and stay intellectually engaged. I don't know that I would have any advice other than just observe, stay on top of things. And
I think like having your finger on the pulse of your fellow people in your generation, I guess, is where a lot of products are built. A lot of technology products I've seen are sort of like aimed at millennials because we want something different than the way things have been done previously. So then a bunch of products were built to change things. So if that's going to be how it goes, then knowing what people like you want is valuable.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I think like I said before, I think just find what your strength is, try to amplify it, and also I'll say still know like what your passion is, what you like, or what's your what kind of work you like to do, instead of blindly chasing for the most hot topics in this field. That would maybe make you feel lost sometimes. So really know what you actually like. I think that's the most important.
That's all the questions that I had. How about for the audience? Writing the chat.
Have people ever experienced burnout? I know you touched on the fast-paced nature of technology. Sometimes I think keeping up can feel a little overwhelming. So if you've experienced it, how did you navigate your way through that?
I was definitely burned out during my PhD and I didn't know it. And something that really helped me reset and refocus was actually getting an internship and taking time away from what I was doing like all the time. And actually like probably worked more hours during my internship than I've been working like on my real PhD project. So I was like working harder, but also just like letting my mind take a break from this slog. It's really valuable. And also, I don't know, I'm really protective of my weekends and my time off now, which I think everybody should be.
Yeah, I probably say it in the perspective of like writing research papers, because now especially in like machine learning or computer science field, in those big conferences, people are chasing for like high state of the art method, and then that can go really quickly. Like you have some state of the art today, and tomorrow you're gonna replace or beaten by someone else. So it's definitely really fast paced, and I think a way to avoid it is, I guess, try to step back a little bit. think about some, and you don't really need to chase to the like hot topics and stuff because those are the areas that are most competitive. So set about, find what you like, and then find out like what areas maybe not that competitive, but you're still really interested in. Maybe try to working on those areas. I guess that would be less competitive. And also, I guess another thing is try to look at papers or fields papers from different fields or different disciplines, because those cross-discipline fields. I mean, by knowing knowledges from all fields or various fields, that will give you like a really higher level perspective when you're looking at a problem. So that would make you more inspired, and applying one method from that is mostly used from one field to another field, or a combination of these two fields or something like that. I think those things can be something to discover, and I guess just make I don't know. I think those are some ways.
There's a question from online. Can you expand on the idea of keeping one's pulse on one's own generation? Does that apply to research as well, or is that something more applicable to business?
I think I was just thinking in general, like, what were big progresses that have been made? So, like, Uber, millennials killed everything, like, or whatever.
Yeah, you did. No.
But, or like, like it was like a hot topic of like disrupting industries or something. So I was thinking more like business. But in research, I think, kind of to the other woman's question too, like the fast-paced nature of it makes it hard to keep up. But like they're also like they're tools. Like a lot of the stuff that's coming out are just a new tool to do something. So if you stay focused on like what you actually want to get done, then you don't have to know every single tool, especially if it's not applicable. So I think research can kind of fall into that, like, we want to disrupt things, we want to do things differently, but it's not necessarily the best tool for the job.
What moderator?
What about balance and mom guilt?
Oh, yeah, that's a good.
How do you find that?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And that's such a great question. I don't think there are any good options. I think like you have to do a trade-off at somewhere. I mean, I was a stay-at-home mom, and there's downsides to that too. And I did sacrifice my career growth, so that wasn't great either. So I mean, I guess I would just empathize and say, unfortunately, work is not structured in such a way that you have a good option. And so you just have to decide which trade-off you're going to take.
Seems like it's an active decision.
Yeah. Every day.
Yes.
So I have a ChatGPT and AI question. So I feel next us lab employees or working with some top secret things, we are going to be more vigilant and will not be using much of all this. So do you agree with it? Like because I'm in my mid-career, I'm in my 40s, and anything I use, like I understand why millennials are so fascinated about it, but I don't know if even a letter written in ChatGPT, I don't feel that, I don't have that connection with that letter, which is coming from a software. It's just an example. So, and then I feel like working more with people and having that connection and, what do you feel like with early career thing or, the generation which is coming out? Are you all more fascinated with ChatGPT or AI, and you do think like, okay, yes, I do want to work with all these things, or you do value I just want to know the perspective of
You want to think about it.
I think it's still like in its novelty stage. Like, oh, look at this cool thing, and when you like drives an essay, or like try to write an essay for me. I posted a job posting and got like 10 responses within 2 minutes, and like they were clearly not answered by humans.
Make it out.
Yeah, you can like make it do that. But Facebook was sort of a novelty, and then it sort of changed the whole world because it got so big. And I don't think anybody really understood like how the internet was going to change the world. And I think AI is going to be the same way. We just don't even really understand the implications yet. So we're still like really at the beginning, and there's going to be a lot of changes coming down the pipeline in the next 10 years. So it's worth paying attention to, but it's still kind of like silly right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I'm really looking forward to see how it would develop. I think we're in a good era to see the explosion of these technologies. But I guess for now, I think because my PhD research is in working on autonomous driving. So I was working on like behavior prediction, motion planning. So because I was working on autonomous driving field, that's why I don't really trust the algorithms autonomous driving, because I know it's hard. It's really hard problem, and it's hard to let the machine learn like how to do this and do that. And a funny story that I heard from I think someone from Livermore or some other autonomous company that so they have this autonomous vehicle, I don't know, driving on the road to test, and there's randomly some guy, I think, carrying a stop sign while riding a bicycle. So right in front of the autonomous vehicle. So then the autonomous vehicle, apparently in the training data, I've never seen those things before. So they just keep stopping behind this guy. Yes.
Yeah, right. And stopping.
It's like on the side of the. I think the guys. No. It's like no. So
also
funny.
On
It's
that
funny.
same
So,
note-
and it's also, I think, an example to show that the current AI is not smart enough to inference these kind of things like human can do. So there's still a long way to go, I'll say. Looking forward to see what.
That's good. I'm happy.
Well, on that same note, have you seen the videos of people putting those orange traffic cones on the cruise cars, and the cruise car just doesn't know what to do and basically shuts down completely? Like, it basically goes into it. It has never encountered that scenario of the cone just like being on the hood, and it doesn't know what to do.
But that's.
I wouldn't know what to do. I'm still scared to take the cruise car, like a car without a driver. Like I'm scared to fix this.
Third questions from the audience.
Question. So it's interesting. Each of you are from like a diverse background, I would call it. So Yiping, you're from mechanical engineering. Amanda, you're from cell and cancer biology. And Stefeni, you said political science and then transition into computer science. And I think that resonates with a lot of people in the audience. But the question that I have is, how did you eventually make that transition from like, I am someone with data who needs something done with the data to like actually becoming a data scientist in practice?
Someone just asked me this, so I can answer it. I started like I said, you have to you can't just read tutorials or click go on code that someone else has written, because it's just not gonna like synthesize any knowledge in your brain. But like I started with making graphs, just like trying to visualize my data. And then there are a lot of repetitive things I was doing to manage my data. So I started writing scripts just so I didn't have to do it by hand every time. And then you get to that like tipping point, like, I'm only gonna have to do this 4 times. Like, should I write code for it or should I just do it 4 times? But like, just write the code, even if it takes you longer than it would take you to do it 4 times, because that's the practice that you need to like get to that next stage. And then I don't know, after that, like once I was like more comfortable with that, I started looking for internships. I did hackathons. I think hackathons helped me get internships and internships helped me get jobs.
I mean, I know that like political science and like political science and English and public administration, I mean, it seems like it's totally different, but the skill that I've always enjoyed using is just like taking a bunch of ideas or data and organizing them and making a compelling case. Like I loved my debate class in college too. So I feel like it's a similar skill set in terms of, you know, like you're, I don't know, or organizing ideas and making a case. I guess that's so I can summarize it. But I don't know. In terms of how I made the transition, I don't know, just try it. I think data science is very like applicable in lots of fields, and that's really any field.
Yeah, for me, yeah, so I did my undergrad in mechanical engineering. So back at that time, we used MATLAB, and then I think that's the only programming language that I know after graduation. So, and then when I go to graduate school, then I start with this project that, you know, led me to do like machine learning stuff. So I have zero background in Python when I first go to graduate school. So, but like, I think because I was given this task to solve this problem, I think that's a big motivation. And then because I need to solve this problem, then, okay, I first need to learn Python, and then I need to read papers in these areas, and then I need to think about how to solve it and how to do coding, how to kind of pre-process those data to learn a model that I want. Yeah, so I guess transition is basically when you're forced to do something or when you're given a task, then I guess that's where you have motivations that you just naturally you're able to do that transition.
Not for sure, then it's not nothing. I think I have time for like one more question then. Thank you.
Well, appreciate all the great prompts and all the answers. A little bit on the answers that you just gave. Time management is something I was kind of thinking is like sometimes challenging, and then also if I'm go find the rock, but how much time do you have to find the rock? So I was trying to, this is something I'm trying to kind of imagine for as an intern, hoping to become early career. So those seem like kind of harder challenges to kind of figure out in the business world in that transition. So I was wondering if you can speak about any of kind of lessons learned or about that. Thanks.
Yeah, due date. Like sometimes you have to nail people down and say, when do you want this by? Like what's my, because you're right. Sometimes that you can get lost in just cycle of finding rocks and then not accomplishing anything. So very, very perceptive.
Yeah, it's definitely something I struggle with too. But while being more protective of my weekends and like weeknights, it forces me to be more aware of like how long I'm taking to do something during my weekday. But outside accountability is definitely the number one thing that helps me balance everything. Getting due dates, working on teams so that people are expecting it from you. But if you're speaking to like learning it outside, like juggling how to learn these new skills outside of a job, then you just have to prioritize it and like spend your Saturdays doing it.
Yeah, I think sometimes, yeah, if you have too many things to do, I think that's where, in psychology or something that's being discussed, like it might suppress or decrease your innovation, or your productivity. So I think, scientifically speaking, it's good to take a break, and then to shift to some like sports, or some other fun things that you like to do. And then when you come back, sometimes you just figure things out and have being more productive.
Any college need better. Thank you so much to the panelists for taking time out and answering some questions.